So a CBS host gets shocked by our own network's poll showing the majority of registered voters, 62%, support deporting all illegal immigrants. You guys, we are going to jump into this segment in just 1 second. But first, welcome back to the channel, everyone. Thank you all for being here. If you could please really quickly smash that like button. Also, subscribe to me over on that free speech video platform. I'll put a link down in the description below. Thank you to everyone that has subscribed over there already. So you guys, let's go ahead and jump on into this. I think the tides are turning.
You know, we have a lot of the campaign rhetoric speaking of what people say they would do. You've seen the Trump campaign talking about mass deportations. We tested that in a general way in principle. Would you support a new government program that would deport all people living in the U.S. illegally? And that finds majority favor. That finds 6 and 10. It's strongest among folks who are MAGA. It's strongest among Trump supporters, but also from some Democrats as well. And I think that that speaks to the general idea, not just that people see the border as a crisis, but also where we are in the campaign, where a lot of very dramatic or new proposals out there are finding favor here.
So unpack that a bit, because this 62% of Americans favor deporting all undocumented immigrants. So Homeland Security says that President Biden has already deported or repatriated more people in the past year than any year since 2010.
All right, we got to pause it really quick. One quick note. Let's touch on what Margaret's saying right here. Absolute baloney. You have to be an absolute doorknob to actually believe this, as if, you know, the Biden administration is tough on immigration. So we'll unpack this super quick. Deportation statistics are broken down into a couple categories. One, that figure that she's talking about right there completely excludes Title 42 expulsions. So they're already picking and choosing what data they want to look at. But deportation statistics are broken into a couple categories: removals, returns, removals being removed from the country, returns being turned away at the southern border. Now, there's always going to be some number of people that are turned away at the southern border, even under Joe Biden's administration. They're probably turning away around 10% of people, because maybe they're not saying the magic words, hey, I'm seeking asylum. That's literally it. But probably around 10% of people. If you asked any journalist down at the southern border, they'd probably agree with that figure, 10%. And just because the number is so out of control when it comes to Biden's administration allowing 2.5 million illegals into the country, nearing 3 million per year actually, that 10% turns into a massive number. So although they're only rejecting a small percentage of people, just because of the sheer numbers that are showing up per year, it's actually a massive number. If we're comparing it to, let's just say, for example, Barack Obama, you know, his administration was turning away 10% of people. Let's just say that. You have 500,000 people. Obviously, these numbers are not competing with Joe Biden's administration just because they're allowing so many people into the country per year, and so many people are showing up at the southern border. So wildly misleading figure. That's just straight up regime propaganda. Let's move on.
And then, depending on the details of what's talked about on the campaign trail, some of what Mr. Trump talks about could be illegal. It doesn't seem practical in some sense to round up children. And then we know that the courts have questioned whether local authorities would have the ability to do it, and federal authorities don't have the resources. So what exactly do people think they're supporting?
Well, when you measure public sentiment on this, or really just about any policy, you're getting a sense of direction. You're getting broad brushstrokes. But those kinds of details, well, that's often up to the legislatures and the courts later on. We tested even the idea of should local law enforcement be involved in this? And a lot of folks do say yes. Again, the details of that, the specifics, you're not going to pick that up in an aggregate public opinion.
They weren't tracking the Supreme Court decisions.
Undoubtedly not. But
they're trying to paint a picture as though it's like illegal to deport illegal immigrants, when law enforcement agencies usually just work with ICE when it comes to deportations. All right, you guys, Father's Day is coming up, and Sierra Whiskey Co. has the perfect gift. In addition to their most popular under tack boxers, which are the only boxers you and your dad should be wearing, You can now fill Pop's closet with high-quality, American-made socks, joggers, t-shirts, and more. Their socks are made of battle weave wool that's 5 times stronger than merino. Their cotton hoodies and joggers are insanely comfortable, and every American needs the EDC t-shirt 3-pack. You guys know I'm a fan of black t-shirts. This Undertac shirt is literally my favorite shirt I've been wearing lately. Remember, Undertac isn't your typical men's boxers. They're made with modal. It's 50% more moisture-wicking, antibacterial, and way softer. And also, I just learned that Undertac released a women's underwear, so make sure to get that for your girlfriend or wife. Go to undertac.com, that's undertac.com. Use my offer code KLUG20 for 20% off site-wide. If you guys haven't bought a pair yet, make sure today is your day. Support a small business that doesn't hate you and donates a portion of their profits to organizations actively in the fight against human trafficking. That's undertac.com, undertac.com. Offer code KLUG20. I'll put a link down in the description below.
Look, it does tell you, though, for the viewer watching this campaign, that what we're seeing here connects to whether it's the courts, what some people say is the politicization of the courts, these ideas of mass deportations, etc. We are in a different era in which a lot of folks say the system as a whole is not working. And all of these, if you connect the dots through them, are part of that reaction against it, which explains some of that general sentiment for some of these policies.
It's really just kind of a do something.
It's funny, with the questions that Margaret Brennan is asking right here, she's noticeably upset, disappointed to see this figure from her own network. And she's saying, do people even know what they're supporting here? There must be some level of ignorance, because how could there be a majority of people that want to enforce the law? And this really just shows how much the left wing has radicalized in the country. Again, this is a major blow to the Democrat Party. This has really become their primary position. I mean, even right here, Fox News, 148 House Democrats vote against bill to deport migrants who assault police. The majority of the Democrat Party has largely become completely against deportations for any reason. Doesn't matter. Drunk driving, doesn't matter, for any reason at all. Open borders, that's it. Stop asking questions. Even if they inevitably end up, murdering somebody, they're still going to end up in a United States prison. So deportations is off the list of acceptable political positions for the left wing, and this has become mainstream among the left. This is why they're so shocked to even hear this. When it comes to the legacy media, they're shocked to even see that Americans, I guess, want to put America first. How crazy is that? This figure shows that the majority of Americans agree with Donald Trump's position of mass deportations. And I don't even think that Donald Trump's really said all illegal immigrants. That sounds like a lot of people. We're talking tens of millions of people right there. But he has promised the largest deportation in American history. And this is why this is such a major blow for Democrats right here, because they actually agree with Donald Trump. And look at this as the Democrat Party's baby. When it comes to open borders, this is their golden ticket to victory over the next 50 years. This is what it really is. If we're looking at the bigger plan here, you're looking at over the next 20 years. Republicans are in a lot of trouble. This is why this election is so incredibly important to Republicans. They're in a lot of trouble over the next 10 years, 20 years. Baby boomers are fading out. And the Democrats see a political strategy here that is, if we just open up the border to tens of millions of people, we keep pushing for mass amnesty, the overwhelming majority of people of these illegal immigrants are going to be voting for Democrats. And they know that. That's just common sense. They're well aware of it. And under Biden's administration, this completely just open border policy that his administration has seen, no other president has seen anything close to these numbers of illegals entering the country. This is just one massive Trojan horse. And a lot of people don't quite realize that political strategy when it comes to just making sure that Democrats are winning elections for the next 50 to 100 years. They're not quite aware of that, but they are aware of the problems that it's causing. Americans are struggling right now. This begs the question, why the shift in support, right? Because this figure has actually grown. I think a few months ago, we were seeing polls showing like 55%. So why is this number growing? Well, I think there's the obvious things. Americans are struggling. They're seeing them being put last. You even have Chicago People showing up to city council meetings in Chicago wearing MAGA hats because they're seeing that their communities are being put last. These people are being put first. They're getting free housing, free food, free healthcare, free everything. Basically getting a red carpet entrance into the United States when the American people are actually struggling. Now, it could also be the numerous stories of kidnappings from illegal immigrants, also murders from illegal immigrants. There's a bunch of high-profile stories that have happened recently, such as Lake and Riley, but there's countless others. You know, a lot of people are waking up to the reality of the horrors of the border crisis. We haven't even touched on what's happening down at the southern border, enriching cartels, because the human trafficking business is obviously booming like it never has been before. I could go on and on and on about the horrors down at the border, but maybe it's just stuff like this. Savannah Hernandez tweeting, apparently illegals are blocking the roads in New York City and chanting, abolish ICE, in protest of Biden targeting asylum seekers, quote unquote. Where the hell is ICE? This would be the easiest deportation operation ever. Yeah, maybe the American people are seeing videos like this and aren't very happy with that. Maybe they're seeing illegal immigrants protesting in places like Colorado, New York, saying that they're demanding more. Maybe the food's not up to their expectations. These videos will get people on board with saying, okay, you know what? Enough. The American people are struggling. I can't afford groceries. Just we're not dealing with you right now, okay? So once again, this is incredibly bad news for the Democrat Party right now. This is their baby. This is their primary political agenda that's really just getting a kick in the nuts from the American people. And in turn, basically pushing people in the direction, because they're so unhappy about illegal immigration. It's been a top political issue for a while now. Because they're so unhappy with that, pushing them in to Trump's arms if they weren't over there already. Losing Joe Biden votes. People see the disaster that there has been the last 4 years under Joe Biden's administration, and they're sick and tired of it. I think Democrats were largely hoping that they could just gaslight the American people into saying that they're undocumented and changing all the language. It's basically like calling shoplifters receiptless shoppers, hoping to sort of use the legacy media machine to push people into thinking maybe this is okay. You know, maybe, hey, we're kind, loving, and just don't look at the American people that are being murdered and kidnapped, and you know, don't look at your own pocketbook, and hey, we're going to spend billions of dollars on these people and put you last. But just don't focus on that because, hey, you know what, you're kind and loving and allowing this to get completely out of control. Now, I will say, this number will shift. This 62%, we will likely see it grow. I mean, this is already a pretty massive number. We'll likely see it grow, maybe to 65%. Possibly even you'll see polls that are showing, depending on the wording, maybe even high 60s, low 70s. You might see that. Again, there's a lot of Democrats that are completely against deportations under any circumstance, as we just talked about right here. But you will see this number start to dwindle as the left has kind of figured out their positioning when it comes to what messaging they need to put out there. What they do is they use think tanks to basically create catchphrases that they can hand over to their buddies in the mainstream media that can get, you know, that information out there. And, you know, they're going to start to change language. They're going to start to fearmonger. And here's one example right here. Biden-Harris HQ, top Trump advocate Charlie Kirk endorses the Project 2025 plan to round up Latinos in mass detention camps. Get immigrants out of my country. Adios. I want my culture back. Now, here's what he actually says.
Get them out of my country.
Referring to illegal immigrants.
Send them home. This transcends race. This transcends income. I want my country back. I don't want America to become Honduras. Adios. I want my culture back. And this is not a fringe belief.
First of all, Project 2025, I don't even know who's crafted that. I think Democrats are just trying to play around with wording. Project 2025, round up Latinos? There are plenty of Latinos that do not want unvetted mass illegal immigration. This is not a controversial issue. But look how they word these things. So they'll keep playing with this. And if Donald Trump does win the election, and this actually does happen when it comes to mass deportations, if Donald Trump does get his way, first of all, it'll be a massive challenge with, lawsuits left and right and all that stuff. But let's say it's happening. The media, unlike Joe Biden's administration, where they've largely ignored the border crisis, they've reported on it here and there, but they don't care. They don't care about anything happening down at the southern border. They don't care about illegal immigration coming from China or all over the third world. Terrorists entering the country that are being caught in multiple cities across the country. They don't report on the kidnappings, the murders, the drunk driving incidents of illegal immigrants killing the American people. They don't care about any of these issues. They're largely going to underreport on everything. Expect the exact opposite under Donald Trump. If mass deportations actually happens, you will watch them filming every single moment, trying to capture, you're talking about millions of people, something is bound to happen, capturing any opportunity they can to freak out the American people. For example, earlier in this segment, you had Margaret Brennan bringing up, deporting children. You better believe, because they can create this massive mess. They can create this crisis, but you're not allowed to clean it up. The American people are not allowed to vote to clean up the mess. They can create this massive crisis for political gain, and they don't care about any of this stuff. And as soon as you bring up, maybe we should undo some of your damage, well, think of the children, right? And the media will. The media will be reporting on all of that. And to my point, my final point here, you do not want to underestimate the media machine firing on all cylinders. Yes, a lot of people are awake, but you will see these numbers drop once the media machine has fired up on reporting every single second of Trump's mass deportations. That's why it needs to be done quickly. It needs to almost be done quietly if it can be, but it needs to be done quickly because you will lose public favor on mass deportation if it is drawn out over, let's say, 4 years. Anyways, let me know what you guys think about this down in the comment section below. If you guys enjoyed this video, please make sure to hit that like button, make sure to subscribe for more videos, and hit that bell notification button so you're notified next to my post. And I'll catch you all in the next video.